Yeah. So is Maury and Chad both going to be there? Good.
Michael may be there too.
Good.
So it depends on what's going on
Yeah.
that day.
I think it'll be good.
God, he answered the phone yesterday when I was talking to him. He said, "This is Michael," and I said, "I don't know if he goes by Michael." I said, "Mike," and he, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. Maybe I should have just started Michael." It just came out.
Morning.
We are on. It's not quite.
Just so we have one viewer all watching.
8:59 on my computer here.
So we have this one. You? Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah, I just like to make sure because you can see if it goes off.
Sure. How's Don getting along? Anybody heard?
Good. Yeah, he's doing well.
9 a.m.
Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018, and we'll begin this weekly meeting of the Cudahy County Commission with the opening of the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Cindy, would you lead us today?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A couple of housekeeping chores, as usual. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. And if you get a phone that you need to take the message, please step out into the rotunda so you don't disrupt the meeting. Also, this meeting is being streamed live, so if you wish to address the commission, you probably will be streamed. No, not probably, you will be streamed. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. We have a motion by Hatton, a second by Gable. Any discussion?
Item number 6, there's a misspelled word there.
Yeah,
Cindy.
that should
Yes,
be
it should be
Chance?
camp.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
not champ
Camp
chance.
chance, not champ chance.
Maybe we should rename that, huh? Champ. Champ. All right, anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. How about the approval of minutes of the 16th?
emailed.
We have a motion by Hatton, second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have a action to approve a plat resolution for the Becker addition in Rowville Township. That's in my backyard. So Luke, you want to share with us?
Certainly. Good morning. One of these days I'm going to remember that you can put it up there, and I'll quit printing these up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks again. You said it right. This is the plat of Becker Addition in the southwest quarter, section 21 of Rowville Township. This is straight west of the Waverly exit on County Road 6 or 164th Street, 1 mile, pretty much right on 1 mile west there. This is property that was previously rezoned to commercial last fall, and a condition of the rezoning and particularly his conditional use permit was that they plat a minimum 10-acre parcel so that it consistent with our subdivision ordinance. There's nothing tricky about it. It's a 10-acre lot. It's a rectangle, and it meets what we asked of it, recommended for approval at the Planning Commission meeting.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Hatton, and I'll second it. Waterman, that's fine. Commissioner Waterman will second it. Any discussion?
So just a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So this is going to be for the structures pretty much, or does it?
It's for the structures,
Okay.
that's right. It's,
Okay.
Yep, it'll be for the structures. He wanted to only have his 10 acres, his minimum size.
Where is this in relation to the tracks there on 164?
It's just a few well, an eighth of a mile, a few blocks just to the east of the railroad tracks.
Yeah, it's the railroad tracks. And most of the times I'll put the aerial on here. This time I just showed the plat itself, but it is, Myron had it right. The railroad tracks cross just past the section line. This is in the middle of the section, so it's.
If you look at where that drawing is on that second page, the half-mile fence line is just to the east of where that is platted, right up to it. At the planning and zoning meeting last week, we did unanimously approve it and sent it on to us, so it's been through that process and it was unanimously approved. Okay, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
All right, next let's go to the monthly reports, and nurses. Nurses are here today, and we also have a written report or a summary. Man, you're doubling up on us.
I am trying to keep on top of things.
Good.
Not a whole lot different. The biggest thing at the end of the year, our average caseload was about 660 per quarter.
What was that, 660?
660. So that's pretty big. They think we're continuing growing, and that's a good thing. The next big thing, we did have our pod in October, which was successful. The biggest numbers that we got were those traveling teams. They are and have approved for a pod again this year, but they're going to focus on those college-age kids. So we're looking at Lake Erie. We've talked to them, and Mount Marty, American National University, and USD. So we're going to focus on them again and hopefully do a pod at LATI.
Good.
And then also on the other side of town to get the other kids. So another big one, hopefully more flu shots. That's kind of the focus to get them because the flu numbers are down, but we still offer the flu. Our EWIC is going well. No real big complaints on that. People like the card much better than the vouchers. And then our money's in numbers. Not much else.
Are you getting excited for the move?
We are. Doing a lot of cleaning, some purging. That's been there for probably 30
Sometimes
years.
that's not all bad, is it?
Yeah.
So, since you mentioned the move, Mr. Chairman, if I could mention just that part of the move has been, the Department of Health is funding the physical move, getting your office over to the new space. So in case people are wondering that. So
Yeah.
and that's scheduled for April once again.
Yeah, I think right now they're kind of working on the clerical area, how that layout's going to be. for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So
There's still a lot of prep work
there is,
and cleaning.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did get one call from I think it was from Scott asking about the counter.
Yeah.
And so if you got in contact with the landlord, so you could.
I think they have because I guess it's a wall, but I'm not sure what they're going to do because they've got to
That
take
counter.
over that.
Yeah.
The
Well,
furniture
it's
they have
pretty
now.
minor considering everything.
Yeah.
So not much modification to do. So
Good.
yeah.
Well, it'll be a nice
Very
place
nice
for
building. Yeah.
Easy access and entrance, that'd be nice. And I'm sure you'll let us know if there's an issue.
Yeah.
So,
And we
That's not all.
do appreciate everything that you and your staff have done to make this
thanks.
process a little easier. We know it's a difficult one anytime you have to relocate an office, but
Yeah.
we do appreciate you working.
All right. Thanks.
any other comments?
Question on the pod. So if we have if you do the pod at different locations, is that kind of providing practice with alternate locations, or is that more?
This one, they're kind of looking at, I don't know, there's going to be a whole probably discussion on it, but more like a mini pod. So it's not like our traveling teams, but a mini pod where we kind of set it up like the pod, but that's not going to be where we have the general public go to.
Right.
Getting a targeted audience.
Okay. So I guess that would provide a bit of training for
Of that
flexibility and
862 doses, how many were given at the pod? Is that most of them?
No.
Oh.
Most of them were at those travel sites where
Sure.
we did those schools. At the pod itself, I want to say like that 200 range, a little over 200.
That's still quite a few people that move in and out.
It is, and since we hadn't done it for a few years, so we're hoping that by doing it again, more people will be aware of it, and we're going to start advertising a lot earlier. The college is going to help us on that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
When do you anticipate doing that, pot exercise?
It's hard to tell because usually with the vaccine, we don't get it usually as early as the other. So hopefully the first part of October instead of later October.
Good.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate your report, and we'll be thinking about you as you get ready for the move. Yes. All right, emergency management. Mr. Sutton. Good morning, Jim. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Doing good.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
I think about every report, every time I read those reports about the bomb is coming in or the missiles coming in, you know, in Hawaii. I think, are we ready?
I don't think we're ready for that. We've got a few things this morning. To begin with, this past month, on January 4th, I assisted with a garage fire down at 17680 459th Avenue. It's a property owned by the Junger family. A garage burnt down, and the Watertown Fire Department responded to that, and then we called in mutual aid out of Castlewood to help with water that we needed. And then January 9th, the search and rescue team and myself, we responded to the call of a pickup that went through the ice on Lake Compesca, and our search and rescue team did go out and rescue a person that was sitting on top of the pickup. And as the person was getting off the pickup did go through the ice, and they all went into the water. Our two rescuers were in cold water submersion suits, so they were all right, but the young man that was on the pickup was already cold, and then he was really cold after they got him out of the water. On January 16th, we had our quarterly fire chiefs meeting. We have these meetings every quarter. Doug Kranz from the Watertown Fire Department organizes the meetings. And we have these with the fire chiefs from the outlying towns, and this way that we can talk about training needs and equipment needs and so forth, and so those meetings are quite productive. On January 17th, last month I told you that we were going to have a hazmat class out of classroom B and C out at the Extension Center. We did host that class, and we had 31 people that attended that hazmat training out there, so that was a very, very good turnout for that class. On January 17th, I attended our regional emergency management meeting up in Pierre. We went over pretty much routine business, and then on this coming Thursday, January 25th, I'm having to go into Pierre. I think I've got a travel request in there for you.
Yes, I see it.
And what that is our state and local agreement, the funding that comes down to the county. They were having a meeting to go over the state and local agreement, and Scott Meitz, emergency management director up in Brown County, was supposed to be representing our region at that meeting. And originally they had the meeting scheduled when they had the big fire out at Custer State Park, so they postponed it, and then they postponed it again because of weather, and so now it's supposed to be on Thursday, and Scott's on vacation, so yours truly got elected to go to Pierre for this meeting so we can go over that state and local agreement.
Are you going to fly out?
No.
Have you checked into that?
I didn't check into it, no, but that would be a possibility.
25 minutes in the air.
It is, but then you've got
two
to
of you
get
going, right?
transportation from the airport to your meeting.
Sure.
No, just myself, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've thought about it too, but then getting from the airport to your meeting is,
You have to almost.
you either
do a
have to
taxi
impose
or-
on somebody or you wait for their transport, which is not always.
And usually with the
Online.
transit, you would have to notify them probably the day ahead out
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah.
You have to pre-arrange.
But if there's somebody there that you know that could pick you up,
Yeah.
and that's what I've done, and it's worked out.
Worked out.
Yeah. I tell you, it beats that 3.5-hour drive.
Yes.
Or actually,
It's very true.
Actually, it's 7. Actually, it ends up to be 3 out, 3.5 out, and 3.5 back.
Yeah.
But it's scenic.
What's that?
It's a scenic drive.
Yeah, scenic drive.
It's supposed to be a nice sunny day. So.
That's right.
There you go.
I might get to see a pheasant or two.
There you go. Yep.
Next thing, on January 31st, Sherry will be attending the EM 101 class up in Aberdeen. And that class, they go over the information about the federal grant programs, the federal disaster programs, and it just gives you basic knowledge. And some of you have attended that EM 101 class in the past, so you know that it's, you gain a lot of information from attending that. On February 7th, we're going to be taking part in a pipeline safety training session, and that is at the Elks Club starting at 5:30. And every year the Pipeline Association puts on these training classes, and first responders go to those classes, and it's very good training. And it just seems like each year that a person goes to it, you pick up something new that you didn't remember from the year before.
I've committed to go to that one as well.
Good.
I notified them that I would attend.
I'll be there as well.
And my interest is, I was involved in pipeline and the utility side.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and on the tax side as well.
On Wednesday, March 21st, the National Weather Service will be hosting a seminar up in Aberdeen, and I've been working with the National Weather Service on putting this seminar together. But it's going to be dealing with severe weather, the weather siren system, news media reports, and other items of interest. And things are coming together on it. It looks like it's going to be a very informative seminar. One of the National Weather Service employees from Bismarck is going to be the moderator for the seminar. We're also going to have representatives there from KELOLAND and KSFY TVs to do a portion of the seminar, talking with about news media reports and standardizing the reports so one television station isn't putting out information a little bit differently than others, as far as the coloring on the maps and so forth, little things like that. On Tuesday, March 27th, will be our Weather Spotter training. And the first session's on the 27th, and that's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then with the Weather Service, they coordinate with Hamlin County, and they'll be doing a session down in Hamlin County at 7 o'clock that same day. And then on the 28th, the following day, we'll have a session here in Watertown at the Extension Center starting at 7 o'clock. So I always try to have an afternoon session, and then I have an evening session the next day, so if a person can't make one, they can usually make the other one. And it ranges, varies, but we've had up between 90 and 100 people that have attended between the two sessions. So, it's we call it Weather Spotter training, but it's just information about severe weather that anybody can attend. They don't have to be a weather spotter, and it's open to the public, and it doesn't cost anything, and National Weather Service does the training, so it's...
and I'll put in a plug for you, Jim. I have attended that a couple of times, and I'm not a weather spotter, but I always want to know how long I can stand on my front porch before I have to take cover. So,
I've attended those also, and they were very informative.
Very good.
good training.
Yep.
Jim, if somebody is interested in attending that, can they get a hold of your office to get registered for that, or how
They
do
don't
they?
even have to register.
Just show
on
up?
that, Troy. Just show up
Okay.
at one of those sessions at that time. And we'll be putting out more information, and we try to go to the radio stations prior to that training and have a little talk on the radio about the training and get the information out to the people. And the public opinion is usually very good about putting information in the newspaper about that training. So, and it's a month and a half off here yet,
Yeah.
but I wanted to get the word out here early too. Next thing I have is the next 911 board meeting for those that attend. That'll be on February 8th at 12 o'clock at the Watertown Police Department. And that's for board members for that 911 board. And the last thing I have, if we want to jump forward to that, is the rosters.
Six.
Yeah, let's go to number 6 on the agenda, and that's action to approve the search and rescue, weather spotters, and camp chance rosters for the workers. And you have that list in your packet. It's a 2-page list.
And I just, gave you the current roster for the search and rescue team. And,
So we'll take action on all 3 rosters.
Yes.
Make
I'll
that
entertain a-
motion to approve all 3 rosters.
We have a motion by Hatton to approve all
second that
3, a
motion.
second by Van Duzen. Any questions?
And this is for workers' comp purposes.
that's correct.
Yeah.
When we have one of these people that are maybe injured in a search and rescue mission, our workers' comp people will ask me for a copy of the most current roster, so.
The only question that I have is on the Camp Chance. Rebecca Olson, Jared Olson. Jared's a deputy with the sheriff's office.
Right.
Rebecca works for the city as a dispatcher. Is she also a volunteer that would be covered under counties?
Did she be covered, because she volunteers to help with search and rescue.
Okay, so she's search and rescue.
That she's not working as part of the city.
Okay.
And also Jared Olson, who's a deputy sheriff for Cottington County, it's his off-duty time, so he's volunteering his time to work, helping search and rescue with Camp Chance, so to make sure that they were covered in case of an accidental injury, we're naming them as volunteers
Yeah,
for Camp.
and I understand that. I'm just wondering, so Rebecca and Jared are both acting under search and rescue members? when they're doing-
Well, actually, I would say that they're working under emergency management
Okay.
and assisting with the search and rescue.
Okay.
So that if we have an accident and somebody gets injured there, that we make sure that we have coverage for those
Right.
volunteers.
This does not cover hail damage on the spotter's vehicle, so
No,
unfortunate, huh?
unfortunately, that's true.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second to approve all 3 of these groups. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jim.
Have a good day now.
We
You
will,
too.
you as well. Sheriff Brad, good morning. Heard you on the radio yesterday and did a good job. Thanks for promoting Cottington County and the Sheriff's Department and all that other good stuff you shared with the listening audience.
Give me a second here.
All right. Well, we'll start out with the monthly balance sheet for December of 17. The bank balance end of December 2017 was $8,634. And then if we jump down to, we collected $16 in copy fees, $7,128.50 in sheriff's fees, $600 in miscellaneous accounts, and $300 in warrant fees, for a total of $8,044.50. We jump over to the next page there. Looks like Lee's getting the computer fired up. He's got it fired up. Awesome. Go through, starting at the top there, cases and calls. In December, the sheriff's deputies responded to 476 cases and calls, 15 accidents, 53 warrants were served, 205 civil papers were served, and 4,858 transport miles. So the transports are still been keeping us busy.
I had to kind of chuckle this morning driving in. I was listening to the radio and they were talking about down in, I don't know what state or what city it was in, with this snow. They had like, I can't remember, it was an unbelievable amount of accidents. I mean, like 800 and some calls, and people just don't know how to drive.
Yep.
And I was thinking, man, that kept them busy.
You know, the weather can definitely keep you busy.
One of the questions I know that was asked yesterday while you were on the radio was the transport miles, and I think you handled that well. in that explaining why we have so many miles, and I think it surprised some people to find out that we probably put 50,000 miles a year on, just transporting, inmates here and there, back and forth. And
Yep. And we did 48,678 miles for 2017, and that's just transport miles. That's transporting to and from warrants, people with mental health conditions that have to get transported to Yankton, Rivera, get some treatment. So there's a lot of miles transporting in just a year. That's up from about 5,000. We were at 43,000 in 2016, so that's up 5,000 from the year before. So it's
I wonder,
definitely,
can you hold off on a new vehicle till the driverless cars are available?
that'd be interesting.
So we
with this
just
weather.
program it and send it?
There you go.
I mean, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Yep.
Put them in and lock the door and send it to Yankton.
Yep.
Yeah,
Send them down. There you go. All right. If you want to jump on down to the middle there, for 2017 December, our average daily population was 66.35. Our high ADP for the month of December was 77. The low was 61. We had 27 people on the Scram bracelet, 43 people on the twice daily coming in to do the PBTs, twice weekly UAs. We had 31 people, 0 people on the sweat patch, and we had 222 people that were booked in. And if you look up on top there, it's 101 people that were on the 24/7 program, if you add all those numbers together. So, want to go ahead and jump on down to the bottom there.
So are you going to give us the annual statistics, or is that?
Well, I got that in the bottom here.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
all right. So, yeah.
Yep. We'll finish this one up first. All right, for out-of-county contracts in December, we collected $9,680. For work release fees, we collected $5,220. 24/7 fees, we collected $4,503. And scram fees to court, we collected $5,545. Now, for the year-end totals, we'll go over some of those. He doesn't have them for the screen there. Actually, I didn't get a chance to get you guys a copy either, but I can email that to you sometime. The average daily population for 2017 was 78.98, so 79 people for our average daily population. 2016 was 73.11, and 2015 was 68.49. So 2014, just have this year, that was 58.9. So you can see all the numbers have definitely come up in the last several years for our average daily population.
What was 2015 again, Brian?
2015 was 68.49. 14 was 58.9. In the last 3 years, you can see it's jumped considerably. And
Almost 20 inmates.
yep. I got the kind of total on prisoner days for 2017. We had 28,807 total prisoner days, which is up from 2016, which was 26,757 prisoner days. So that's, each day that an inmate is in jail is all totaled up. And they say you can go on down. 2015 was 25,019. And 2014 was 21,510. So you can see the rise there as well. 24/7 program fees collected total for 2017 was $62,845. That's up a little bit from 2016 by about $8,797. This one's kind of an interesting one here. There was 34,886 PBTs given on the 24/7 program with only 96 failures. So just about 35,000 PBTs with only 96 failures, so it shows that the program is definitely working. There was 2,855 UAs given. That's the urine analysis that were given in the jail. It's part of the 24/7 program, and only 59 failures there.
What was that number again?
2,855 UAs with 59 failures. 115 people were wearing a scram bracelet, with 12 failures in 2017.
Brad, the South Dakota Police Chiefs Association with Chief McPeak just brought back some numbers when he recently attended statewide numbers where they have taken those numbers over a period of time from like 2006 through 2017, and they've compiled all those numbers. And PBTs, it was just an astronomical amount of PBTs that had been given, like 1.6 million, you know. And I have those numbers if you're interested in seeing them, if you haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Statewide, it's about a 99% success rate,
Yeah.
you know, on that. So your numbers are in line with what we're seeing statewide.
That's what I'm guessing, because with just about 35,000 PBTs with only 96 failures, it's got to
Yeah.
be up in that 99 percentile, somewhere up in there.
What was that last number again, or that last statistic?
The scram bracelets,
Yes.
there was 115 individuals that were wearing the scram bracelets in 2017
Okay.
with 12 failures.
You can see that they're not using it. Well, that's a sweat patch. There's a delayed reading though on the scram bracelet because you have to download.
Yes, there's a down, yeah, it's could be up to a few days. So,
Yeah.
So let's go through a couple end of the year numbers here really quick, like 24/7 sobriety program fees, $62,795, increase of $8,747 from 16. Work release fees, $69,860, which is an increase of about $8,205 from 16. Out of county contracts, $108,836, which is a decrease of about $74,909 from 16. Some of that's due to earlier in the year, our jail was full and we had to cut back to just Cottington County inmates and didn't accept out-of-county contracts. So I'm not sure what the other factors may be, but there's a considerable decrease there in out-of-county contract fees. Fingerprint fees, $1,840, which was an increase of about $750. There was $302,686 sent up to the clerk of courts, which is an increase of about $38,734. Scram fees, $77,670. It's a little bit of a decrease from 16 by a couple $1,000. Cost of confinement fees were $41,238 were collected, which is an increase of about $15,746 from last year. So for a grand total of $720,925.43 that went through the detention center last year. Of that $720,000, $340,569.23 was remitted to the county, and then $570,851.20 was processed for fingerprint fees and scram fees, phone cards, and whatnot. So.
In summary, this was summary, but as I was saying, I was listening to the radio coming in this morning, and they said in Minnesota they had the arrest numbers were down for crime, but the prisoner numbers were way up. I don't know if I'd say way up, but they were up considerably, and they were trying to determine what was the reason for that, and I could have told them if they would have asked me. It's just that the sentences were longer or the delays were more getting them through court. That's basically what that boils down to.
Was that, Mr. Chairman, was that Minnesota or was that just a
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
That was in Minnesota, yeah.
I mean, rural jails nationwide have seen the same thing. It's
Although Wisconsin, they noted Wisconsin were down in both cases, crimes, arrests made, and also prisoner days were both down considerably, like 25% from a year
that's
ago.
an anomaly, in general, the rural jails, the more rural the jail, the more the population is going up. I mean, that's kind of the nationwide thing. The more urban it is, the more, I guess, urban places have more resources to do alternative programs and things, and so that's kind of.
Well, these are good points, and one of the things that I need, and Brad, and I guess the rest of the commission needs to get the general public to understand is that I know there was a candidate on the radio the other day that's running for an office, and talked about his platform is that he wants to be proactive. And I would have liked to I should have called him directly and said, Cudahy County is being pretty doggone proactive of all the programs that we have with drug court, veterans court, 24/7 programs. These are proactive programs, and Brad just shared with us the numbers that we look at, and it appears that we're seeing success with these programs. And these are proactive. And when someone comes out on the radio and says, well, we're not being proactive, and that this candidate wants to be proactive rather than reactive and make us build new jails and so on, it kind of burns me just a little bit. So I'll get off my pulpit now. So just people need to get their ducks in order if they're going to make
Well, and I think,
statements
Mr.
like
Chair, that's fine if people want to say that, and that's their right to do that. But I think that the numbers are showing how proactive these programs are. And I wasn't aware until I became a county commissioner how proactive the county is in dealing with a lot of this stuff. So it's easy to stand there and say that I want to be proactive. The numbers in the data, and that shows every year how proactive we are. There's other programs, Teen Court is one that you didn't mention, that's out there too. And so the county has taken a proactive approach, and I appreciate the work involved.
Not to mention, if I could add-
It's a lot of work,
could add-
stepping up.
Yeah, that's what I was
initiative.
going to add, yeah.
that goes
Behavioral
right-
health, the stuff that's
Boys
going
and
on
Girls
with that.
Club.
And so, I mean, you can go on and on and on.
on and on,
But
yep.
the intent is to reduce those numbers, and I think that the statistics are showing that that's actually working.
I think, and I don't know if that email went to all the commissioners, but the data that was given at the last school board meeting was very, very interesting, and I hope everybody takes an opportunity to read that. And the school system is doing an excellent job as well in getting a handle on some of these things that we've been dealing with, whether it's drugs or tobacco, alcohol, whatever it is. The part there that kind of worries me and may have concern about, and we were discussing that a little bit earlier, is the potential for suicides, and we need to get our finger on that too, and get a handle on that too. So everybody's working in the right direction anyway.
I just got a couple more numbers here I want to share with you really quick, and I'll be done. For 2017, there was 2,999 civil papers served. In the sheriff's office, 100 executions that were worked, 987 warrants served. I responded to 6,084 calls for service, which is up about 600 calls from 2016. So you see right there, it's a little busier. Transport miles, we talked about those, 48,678 for 2017 compared to 43,748. Mortgage foreclosures, there was 30 of those for 2017, which is actually up 10 from 2016. There was 20. And even 2018 here, looking at my calendar, there's been a lot more scheduled already. So 124 accidents investigated and 106 in 16. So you can tell it's definitely been a busier year.
And you have a staff of what?
I have, there's 10 sworn officers, including myself. So
That's what I was just going to add, the fact that your workload has increased, but you haven't increased your help,
yes,
your
the guys
workforce.
been stepping up, and everybody's been taking a little more on. So
And when we meet people on the street, they say, well, we have too many deputies, or we're buying too many vehicles for the deputies and all this, and it just shows that the workload is there.
Well, one other thing that we haven't mentioned is the amount of time that our deputies and the sheriff are spending in the courthouse with protection order hearings and that sort of thing. So we were talking with Brad at one of the CC Jack meetings recently, and it's 40-plus hours a week that our deputies are closer to 60 now that our deputies are actually in-house and not out on the road. So.
Well, Brad's got too many things to do rather than sit here, so we better let him get back to work.
all right.
Thank you for your...
I'll get these emailed to everybody.
Do more with less.
Yeah, thank you for your report. Keep up good work. All right, let's
I'll be
go on.
Looking forward to that.
Item number 7 is the action to approve the 4-H Promotion and Expansion Committee roster, and that's in your packet, and I don't think we need to read them. It is divided into teens, adults, and then teams that represent that board from the Boys and Girls Club, and then the last one is some more adults, and then Jill Orthouse, Rick Halinka, and myself as a liaison to that group.
Make a motion to,
We have a motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Let's go on, action to authorize contracting with the movers for the Welfare and Veteran Service office relocation. And I read that, but I don't know if it's in our packet. I saw those numbers. Oh, it's not in the packet, but what was it was a pretty reasonable.
I don't think I got it in time.
Milo,
to
do you
send
have
in
it?
Packets.
Okay, I do.
Okay, well, shoot.
Okay. The cost for this service is as follows. This is for the Veterans Office and the Welfare Office to move across the street. All office equipment and things that don't fit into a box. $1,740.21. We have a figure to rent 40 totes at 25 cents a day for 5 days, $50. The delivery and pickup charge for those totes is $70. And to move the loaded totes, it would be at $2.50 each for a total cost of $1,960.21. This is set in stone for what we know right now. If we've missed any items, or there could be a slight change. I know there's one area that we actually didn't look into, one of the closets, so there could be a couple items added, but it's just going to be.
So it's about $5,000.
No, about 2,000, less than 2.
Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
70.
Mr. Chairman, just to show how that impacts the budget, I put that, it's in our handouts, but I put that
Yeah.
on there so that you can see how that.
Is this a moving company, or I
Yes.
don't understand? Okay.
This is a moving company located in Aberdeen, South Dakota, with a local office in Watertown. They are fully insured for damage as well as workman's comp. Their employees are full-time and subjected to a background check before hire.
I'm sorry, Milo, I started out with a 1740, and then I had these add-ons, but is that included in the 1740?
No.
Okay,
The
so what's
total is
that?
$1,960.21.
There, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Make a motion to authorize contractor.
I have a motion by
Contracting
Ham,
for
a
movers.
second by Gable. Any more discussion? Lee,
What's the name of the company?
The company is called Dial a Move.
Okay.
I've seen them in town operating before, so,
There is no Mayflower or anybody local in town that'll do that anymore.
not anymore.
So this is
That's,
just,
these are
It's
the
the
people
closest
that
moving company.
took over for Mayflower.
Did they move you, Milo?
No, they did not. I had planned on using them, but our circumstances changed, so I wasn't able to.
so just, Mr. Chairman, this is in the budget, just to refresh everybody's memory, we budgeted for this change, and so that's what that table is up on top, so.
Good.
I cover that, so.
So in reality, it has been included in the budget.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Milo.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Do you have anything else on the agenda? We gonna let you off that easy today?
Safety manual
The safety
draft.
manual.
You want to stick around for that? I guess I'm not sure what the discussion will be.
The what? Which one was that?
You asked me to put discussion regarding the safety manual draft and
Yep,
committee
yep.
members on the,
I think, wasn't that to select committee members to work on that?
well, we don't
what we
have
talked
a
about?
safety manual yet.
You wanna hang
so
around just
I
to
don't-
listen and what you've done? Thank you, appreciate that. All right, let's go on then to
That is next.
Number
the next thing. Yeah, Milo, discussion regarding safety manual draft and committee members. And Milo, what, you have done some more work on that process?
No, I haven't done anything since I was here last week and
Okay.
presented it, dropped it in your lap. So now we're just waiting for direction from you.
Okay, so let's give Milo some direction. And we would ask any input from the commissioners here.
I'm trying to remember what that discussion was that we had last week. It was to develop a safety manual and to determine whether or not a committee should be, like a safety committee should be formed to represent the county.
We have been, just a little background on here, we've been requested by our risk services provider, to have a county-wide safety committee. Actually, that request has been out there for a number of years. And that brings us to this point. We did go through and made a sample safety manual based on the one that was provided by Brown County. At this point, I think the next step, if you want to continue down this line, would be to have some members further go through this manual and either pare it down or add to it, whatever they happen to think. 2, 3, 4 people could be appointed to do something like this. The actual safety committee, I had put out some recommendations last week, in that information that was sent out to you, about appointing a committee, being somebody from the board, somebody, from the various buildings within the county or various departments, There's a number of ways to go about that, but I think the first step is getting your guys' direction if you want to follow this, and then, maybe starting out with.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. The safety manual we got was from Brown County. They were kind enough to send over a copy. Would it be pertinent to look at maybe a Brookings safety manual if they have one, or one from Huron, or?
I don't know what counties have a county-wide safety
Well,
program.
probably all of them will need to now, I'm guessing. If we're being required to, they probably all will be. Maybe our first thing is to develop a group to work on the safety manual itself, and then after we have that, then we can put together a committee as far as who's
Meeting
going to
and
make
regular
sure
dates.
it's...
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest then that, with what Commissioner Hatton said, that maybe the maintenance supervisor, the highway superintendent, and one of us sit down and take an initial look at it. But it's not really an agenda item to, direct or...
And I think that's a good point, because I know Milo, they do have a safety manual already, so they're familiar with the workings of it, and so does the highway department. Rick?
Anyone else who would have the safety,
And would you...
any kind of safety manual in place?
Brad is still here. You guys have a safety manual for your department?
We have a policy.
Policy manual, okay.
We've got to dictate most everything.
So I think Rick and I are probably the only ones with an actual safety manual at this point.
How about emergency management? Well, I think if we're going to appoint a 3 or 4 member committee to look at this, Brad, would you be willing to serve on that?
Yeah.
And Rick? And Jim? And Milo?
Okay.
I guess we got it, don't we?
One commissioner, probably.
One commissioner,
I would volunteer for
and
that.
Commissioner Van Dusen would volunteer. So if you would review that, thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate that. Makes my job very easy.
Okay, I'll work on contacting everybody, and we'll set up a couple dates to work on this and go from there then.
Meet here and go through it.
If you have just so we can have an opportunity for input, is there a draft of the Brown County one you're working off of?
There is.
Yes.
I sent that out. I think I sent that to
Yes.
everybody last week.
Yes,
We do have that.
Okay.
I still have it if you need it.
No,
And
I
just
got it.
let me know when you gentlemen are going to meet, and I'll make certain that you got rules, okay?
Okay.
All right? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you say rules or rolls?
Rules.
Oh, okay.
Like donuts.
We're going to have plenty of rules already.
2 cops on that.
Brad wants donuts.
Thanks, Milo.
Thank you, Milo. Appreciate your work. Claims for payment. Do we have any today?
Yeah, we do. We have a few odds and ends that come in that we need to pay so we don't incur service fees on our credit cards. So the first one is Visa Reliabank. It's for the emergency management office. It's $1,002.12 for various supplies, travel, just miscellaneous costs, some of them for the search and rescue team. The second one is also Visa Reliabank, and that is for the sheriff's office for $45. And that was for, looks like fuel when they were on the road. The third one is to the South Dakota State Treasurer. Normally we would pay this with the bill that we pay in our normal bill day, but the billing came late, and it is for the first quarter of the public health nurse contract for $3,347.50. And the final one is our monthly 911 surcharge payments to the city of Watertown. These are for the November collections, $22,754.14.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Hanson, second by Waterman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Number 11 on the agenda, actually to add commissioner appointments to the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group and Catalina County Justice Advisory Committee to the list of commissioners' board appointments. And at the beginning of the year, we made assignments in the board appointments and the liaisons, and these would be additions to the board appointments, is what they would. Lee, take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, we're already doing these things with the possible exception of the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group, which is a new thing. But the Justice Advisory Committee, we've been functioning, but I think it would be appropriate to add both of these committees to that list, that standing list of commissioner board appointments. And the way it would have to read is both of these are based on the charters, the documents that govern both of these groups. It particularly pertains to two commissioners for each committee, 2-year terms in each committee. The behavioral health, and it just has to do with when the group was formed or created, would be appointed in even-numbered years, and the CCJAC would be in odd-numbered years. So we're already doing the CCJAC, so this is just adding that to the list and then parenthetically putting on there that it's a 2-year term. And then one thing, I guess I meant my motion to cover, so that's my motion basically for that part of it, just to add those two to the list of commissioner appointments.
Can we take them all at one time, Cindy?
I think.
Well,
basically the motion would read like it does on the agenda, and then some of the text of actually what to add to just to make sure people understood that these are 2-year appointments and that the appointment takes place for the behavioral health group on even-numbered years. So at the beginning, so January timeframe, the Justice Advisory Committee, same thing, beginning of the year on odd-numbered years. So.
But you want to add both of these items to.
Just that list, yeah. So it goes. So we don't have to kind of. The idea is if you have that standing list, you don't forget about it.
To the committee appointments.
For the board appointments.
Separate document. And then one thing I meant to have on the agenda, if it doesn't work, was to, Myra and I are effectively the commissioners at the moment serving with the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group, which had its first meeting last time. So the Stepping Up Initiative Working Group, which was kind of an informal committee working group, is now, we formalized that with that charter, the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group, and in that charter it says we need to appoint 2 commissioners. So Myron and I had been covering the Stepping Up Initiative, so maybe we need to wait till next week, since I didn't put that on the agenda properly, to appoint Myron and me to that. Or 2 other commissioners.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we can do that, but just so
good.
people understand that we're effectively filling in then until we do that. So that's the motion then is just simply to add those 2.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Van Dusen. Any discussion?
And just to make sure, Mr. Chairman, that on the list we'd have to I don't know if you put an asterisk or something on there to make sure we know these are 2-year appointments.
I think we
So,
have.
Yeah, I have text and an email that I sent to Cindy. We can come up with something to make
Okay,
sure that's clear.
any more discussion?
Like on that housing authority, it has the name and then years behind or whatever, right?
Yeah, you do it like that, yeah.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. We'll get that added. Then number 12
So you've
follows.
added but you don't have,
Don't have
your
the
next
name.
action will be
Yeah.
who?
The name.
Yeah, we have to,
Correct?
for the behavioral
All right.
health, just
All
for the
right.
behavioral health one. So I forgot to make that
Is the
clear. on the
CJAC
agenda.
on there too, though? I don't know.
Yeah, but we're already appointed.
already done.
We're already done
Right.
on that one because we appointed in an odd numbered year, so beginning of 2017.
So who is the C?
So it's Troy and I are on
You
this,
and Troy,
yeah.
okay.
So we're already appointed for that. So just so we have it in mind, it's on the list for 2019, that 2 commissioners need to be appointed for that.
Okay.
Okay, let's go on to number 12, action to amend the BHJWG charter to make Prairie Lakes Hospital Services, or what's it?
Healthcare system.
Healthcare system,
Yep.
healthcare system, there we go. Voting member, and did I see something in the packet in reference to that?
Yeah, it looks like this. It's kind of a little.
Yep,
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
go.
is mine as well. We had an email dialogue as I was drafting this up with Prairie Lakes, and I guess kind of seeing how our first meeting actually went, it was kind of it made more sense. It just makes more sense for Prairie Lakes to be a voting member, which would kind of fit with all the other community organizations, where they're all voting members, and really the only non-voting members are those who are represent community, like state-level organizations outside the community, but they're there as non-voting members. The commissioners and city council people that might be on there would be non-voting members, as well as judges. A judge that might sit on the committee or working group would be a non-voting member. So that kind of fits better so it's kind of a clarification. It's a bit of,
I think that's a good
just-
clarification, they should be
Yeah, so-
on there as voting members.
Yeah.
Okay, is that your motion, Lee?
Yeah, that's my motion.
Is there a
Second
second?
that.
We have a second by Hatton. Any more discussion?
I just
What
have
was
one.
the motion? Exactly?
Can
you repeat it?
The motion is to amend the
Charter.
charter, the Behavioral Health and Justice Working Group charter to move the Prairie Lakes healthcare system from a non-voting member to a voting member.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question I had,
second? Yes.
yes, a question, Mr. Chairman. Will this in any way give the Prairie Lakes Hospital, will there be a monetary involvement possibly with this?
No.
That's a good point, though,
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. So what the charter says is that whenever you have somebody like that, so HSA, or somebody who might provide services, and you're dealing with, say, a recommendation to the commissioners or to a parent jurisdiction to spend money on something that might in fact impact those organizations, then they recuse themselves. So that's a good point, and that's the charter tries to anticipate that. So
It would be, an example would that be with us contracting with HSA for assistance with an individual that goes into the detention center.
Thinking of a possible conflict of interest.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Does that answer your question, Charlie?
I'll read what the paragraph says in the charter. It says, representatives of community behavioral health organizations will be recused from discussion and votes related to contractual issues for behavioral health services provided or under consideration to be provided by the county. So that's just a conflict. And it protects them, protects everybody. So
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? Good discussion. Good question, Charlie. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any budget supplements this
Nope, not
month?
today.
And personnel changes
Few of those.
we have in your packet,
They were emailed.
and I don't have either one of them.
They were emailed.
Oh, yeah, I emailed those out.
Yesterday.
They came,
Yes.
yep, they came late. Kayla Brownell is a full-time correctional officer. She'll move from step 7 to step 8, $21.55 an hour. And Julie Galliseth is a part-time correctional officer. She has reached the required number of hours worked to move from step 2 to step 3, $18.59 an hour.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Hatton, a second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And we do have a couple of travel requests from Mr. Sutton. I think both of them from
And I sent one.
Cheryl.
I sent one to you yesterday that I did not print out either.
Yeah.
It's for myself to attend an annual report workshop in Mitchell tomorrow. It's a one-day trip. I'll use a county vehicle. The cost will be $11 for a meal. The emergency management, it's for Jim Sutton to attend the SLA meeting in Pierre, which he discussed earlier in his report. That's also a one-day trip with costs of travel would be fuel for his vehicle. And then Sherry Howell is the secretary, and this is something else he touched on. The purpose of travel is the EM 101 workshop, and she will take a county vehicle if one is available. And that's also a one-day travel. Costs of travel would be for fuel and a noon meal of
Move to
$11.
approve.
We have a motion by Hatton, second by Van Duzen.
Yeah.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Any old business to bring to the board this morning?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple updates on this and that. I just wanted to follow up on a couple things we mentioned last week. One was you should have got the design development documents emailed to you from the architect, so you can see basically what it's going to look like. Just what's one thing to bring to your attention. So you probably saw this is one of the pages of the design development documents that shows that ground floor of the courthouse. So this would be the new court. I'll try to move my mouse. I can't really see my mouse moving that much, but on the
Yeah, you can see it.
okay, so that's this room here. That's the equalization office now. That would be the courtroom. Current nurse office. So that's the clerk of courts, and then talking about also that security checkpoint, which would allow both continued use of both the north and south entrances. So that's kind of doing something that probably really needs to be done, and this goes back to minimizing the deputies' time securing courtrooms and providing security for the courthouse when all the courtrooms are working. So a man-hours thing, but also a safety and security thing. And one thing I need to point out here is that there was some discussion afterwards, to go to another thing that was sent out that you probably didn't see, of an alternative for the courtroom, and that's this is, yeah, come on. Let me see if I can scooch it there. There we go. Notice that, I don't know if you noticed in the previous one, this arrangement is slightly different at the bench on this one, and that's a debate between the judges and the clerk, and so it looks like this is probably the more likely one at this point in the discussion with the email discussion with the architect and the judges. And then a lot more spectator seating, and then we had talked about maybe adding a little room back here where my mouse is, for either a custody room, for an inmate witness or defendant, or an additional attorney-client room. And it looks like the consensus is you're going to have the attorney-client space over in what's now the veterans' offices, and then you can have more spectator seating, which is good for jury calls, but it's also good for magistrate court day as well, and you still have the jury-capable courtroom. So that's kind of that's kind of a detailed discussion between the architect and the actual users of the space to bring you up to speed on that. So,
Commissioner Gable, is this close enough that we can release it to the paper, the press, to be transparent? So
Yeah, if they
we
want.
have the people out there know what we're doing here?
I think it's fine if you do. Just understand that this is still discussion. It's pretty close.
Yes.
This is pretty much the design.
There's always going to be some
Yeah, but
tweaks.
it'd probably be better if I get with you. And then the next meeting is the 31st, so that's next week, Wednesday. And so that, at that point, actually, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. It might be kind of hard to look at.
I don't know if this is something that you'd be interested in, but I know there's some interest out there in wondering what in the world we're doing, because it's a $1 million plus project, and
I think it might be better if I get you, maybe see if I can get you this one on that previous, than the previous version, because this is, I think, is probably the more likely layout than the previous.
Can you go back to the other one again, Lee?
Takes me a second. I have to turn off that picture. Hold on a second.
that's nice. Send that out. That's what we're doing with $1 million.
That's what we get for $1 million.
That's Lake Compesca.
Yeah.
That was Lake Compesca after the renovation.
So basically, they just added,
So the basic thing is, we don't think we're going to need this. So you have these two attorney-client rooms.
Right.
Most of the time, when you have a defendant, an inmate defendant, they don't want them to look like an inmate. That's one of the things about not biasing the jury in any way. And so having a holding cell, at least in this kind of configuration, is probably not a typical thing, and it's close enough to the jail.
right.
Lee, I'd like to ask just a little bit about that security pod in the center
Right
of the
here?
courthouse. Yeah. I know that comes at the recommendation of the CCJC. We had talked about that.
Yeah.
And one of the issues that was brought up was the cost factor associated with that. Not to shoot that down, but where is that in the project?
We have to kind of see how the bids come in, basically. So, yeah, it would probably, we don't know the exact, it's going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars to add that. So does it fit into the project cost? That's the question. And if it does, then, great. If not, then we might have to look at contingency or pulling some more from the Future Building Projects Fund.
And then
if that's the case.
so you come in to the courthouse from either side, you're going to have to go through security if that's going to be.
Yeah, depending on what procedures we develop, so if courts are in session, then,
So and this is a question I had the other day in reference to that very thing. If I come in to buy my license plates, will I have to go through that process?
you would, because the way that, unfortunately.
Just on court days or on any day?
Well, it depends on how we decide to run it. I mean, if we say if any courtroom is being in use, then we do that. Or if I think it's going to probably work, the kinks will be worked out, but this provides a way for when you have all three, or two, I'd say more than one courtroom working, you're going to be able to employ just one deputy doing this as opposed to two winding people outside of each courtroom, two or three.
In some of these larger municipalities like Cottington County, down in Lincoln County, South Dakota, if you've ever been to their courthouse, that they have a deputy that's a retired law enforcement officer, and that's what he does full-time. And so when you go into the courthouse, you go through a metal detector like an airport.
I did have a question from someone from Brown County, and they're going through the same thing right now. Just trying to beef up their security in their courthouse, and they're wondering what we were doing here.
Well, if I could just trace the paths, because people are probably wondering, like if you can see that, my mouse, so this is the north entrance, so you'd go through here, you'd have some kind of a glass partition wall here. This door would be closed, so that's for employees to go through or exit from, and then you'd go down that little flight of stairs through the security checkpoint, then back up into the courthouse to do your business. Or if you had court business to do, you'd go over you can go to the elevator here, go into the courtroom. This space, this piece of wall would be removed, so you could go right into the attorney-client space there. If you had business to do with the clerk of courts, well, there's ballistic glass over there. You don't actually have to go through the security checkpoint, and the same thing for the state's attorney. There's ballistic glass in there. So there's because of the structure, the layout of the current courthouse, you can't avoid paths crossing. So those areas will be within the visibility of who's ever monitoring the security there. And then from the back entrance or from the south entrance, it's a little bit more straightforward. You come right in, you'll see the security checkpoint go through, and then the same thing applies. So that's kind of the general idea right now. And these walls here, so you'd have some kind of a partition glass, most likely, in order to maintain the historical significance of that ceiling and whatever we can down there. So,
and that security process will be similar to the airport?
I would think so. Maybe not quite that, but on that order, yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of people we need to understand here that have never ever gone through security before. They've never flown, so they don't understand. They're not going to be frisked, they're not going to be
No,
strip searched or anything like that. I mean, it's going to be,
And it may be a system where, you know, you come in and a deputy wands you, just to make sure you don't
Don't
have a
have to take your
firearm
shoes off.
in your belt or something like that.
Yeah.
No.
But just it's one point along the way. Right now, what happens when you go to a courtroom, you empty your pockets, and then, you know, just on a little table there, you get the metal objects off your body, then you get one. And so, something similar, we might consider an X-ray machine to make that a little bit more automated, a little bit labor saving. So we'll.
I think the thing is the quicker the better. I mean, so
obviously.
if a lot of people run in here at noon hour to buy their license or pay taxes or whatever, so in and out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
The object is to keep everybody safe, and I think
Yeah.
just having a security checkpoint would benefit everybody in the courthouse.
I think,
If you know that you got to go through one, your likelihood of bringing a weapon into the courthouse is reduced greatly.
to follow right along, and I don't know if this is the new business or not, but you all have this chart that's on the long paper, and kind of gives us a breakdown of the time, the remodeling process, and also Milo has prepared this, and thanks to Milo, I didn't thank him when he was up here, but be sure that you thank him and gives us an idea of the breakdown as to when some of these things are going to happen, and that kind of gives us there's going to be some changes, I know, because let's say we have a blizzard or something like that, but this kind of gives us a time frame to be looking at, and if everything goes according to plan, which it never does, but if it does, we'll be utilizing that new courtroom space by late this fall, not next fall, this fall,
So this
2018.
Just for you guys to see, this is what Milo. This is the thing that Milo's working off of. And he mentioned this last week when he was talking about the move. So this is just kind of a to-do list essentially, and trying to map it out when
That kind of falls into our new business here, but as well. But
yeah, and then the other. If I can show you the other thing, Mr. Chairman.
so when do we move Cindy?
I have 2 elections this year. I'm not moving anywhere.
We're going to move you out to the election headquarters.
No way.
And this is just an update chart for the overall project schedule, because we had to move some of the meetings around. The end dates down here doesn't shift, but you did have to. I had a discussion with the architect about those different dates. So the next thing on here for the architect to come visit is the 31st, so that's next week, and then they're coming again on the 20th. And if you look over to the left, you'll see. So we're done with that design phase. So basically, the layout is basically what we're going to get with those 2 options in the courtroom that we discussed. And then what's the construction documents phase is where they actually start turning this into a document. So they have to talk in detail about, say the courtroom technology and things like that, so that a builder can actually go and make the remodel happen.
And that's March
based on
6th.
And we're looking at that bid stage in March, and March is right around the corner.
So yeah, March 6th would be the initial,
Yeah.
where we initially review, and then we get into the bids throughout the month of March, the bidding process. So that's kind of the plan right now. So we're kind of between 2 phases, the design phase and the construction documents phase right now. And then also what doesn't show on this schedule is that the CCJAC meeting, the next one is on the 13th of February.
What is that?
13th of February. Did I say that
13th of
right?
February.
Did I say that right? Yeah, okay. So if you want, I can give you copies if you want. So.
Those I did get on everybody's desk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Copy to
For
Jason.
the-
Yeah, I limit to
Oh,
the
okay.
media.
Oh, I do have an extra set.
All right, so we kind of finished up old business and new business. Is there any other new business? Any other new business?
Okay, sir.
How about anything for the open? We do not have a commission meeting next week, which is the 30th of January, that being the 5th Tuesday of the month.
We have a meeting, Commissioner Hatton and I are going to be meeting with 2 of the city councilmen
Next Wednesday.
next Wednesday to talk more about the city-county cooperation on local government facilities, basically, see where we can.
And as I said last week, that This Thursday, I will be meeting with a group that's been put together to address the issues of Lake Kempesca. And Doug, that picture that we saw up there, you're in charge of the mountains.
Bringing them out.
Yeah, you're in charge of the mountains.
I have also been added by the mayor onto the Affordable Housing Committee, which I'll be meeting on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So I'll,
Is that the same committee as, they were doing a kind of a city Lake Kempesca, I don't know if it was development or it was dealt with the whole.
this will be my first meeting, so I don't know. This is
Okay.
more on affordable workforce housing, I believe. I don't
Right,
know
okay.
that
That
one.
meeting deals primarily with improvement of the Lake Kempesca.
Yeah, there's another committee there that the city is starting, so, and I think
You know,
we'll probably be asked to,
Yeah, Doug has a...
yeah.
And
January 25th, 1:15 at the, or the Zoo.
1:15, I think I got 1:30.
Oh, so you're doing, that's when.
I
okay.
got 1:15.
Just to,
Also, just to mention that Commissioner Hannon and I will be meeting with the funeral directors and welfare director on the 30th of next
Now,
Tuesday.
when you meet with them, you will have the welfare
Yes.
Yes,
the individual with you?
Yep.
she will be there.
Everybody's on board.
Where are you
Discuss
meeting?
burial.
I was going to ask, this room available?
It is, if you
Okay.
tell me, yeah.
Yep.
What time?
I was going to do it 12 o'clock.
12
to 2. I did attend my ICAP meeting that I sit on, and there's just a few things I thought I might bring forward to you. Right now, well, they are at this point, the community service workers and some volunteers have been trained. What ICAP does is they offer volunteer income tax assistance. It's called the VITA program. This program is available in all 14 of the counties, and it offers free e-filing for households under $54,000. They plan to start doing the returns the week of the 22nd, which is this week, but they are not able to file the more complex returns. But I guess until you go there and they see what you have. But households that are under $54,000, it's a free, what do I want to say, free program. I do also have some information, year-end report, 60-plus dining, the Navigator program, transit program. We are going through all the programs, actually, as a board. So I have more information, more detailed information on these different programs and as it goes along. I mean, if you would like some of this information to read, know what it's about, you are welcome to get copies of
How's the
that.
new facility working for ICAP?
Good. It's going very good. For the Head Start, you mean?
Yes,
Head Start and Early Head Start, very good.
Head Start is part of ICAP, right?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Okay.
It was a godsend that we were able to get a building, so.
one last thing to report on, Commissioner Van Duzen and I attended the JDAI meeting on, so the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative meeting.
On what meeting?
Juvenile Detention Alternatives
Okay.
Initiative meeting last week, Tuesday, so while you guys were at the planning and zoning meeting, we were doing that.
Yeah.
One thing to note is that the statewide consultant, Angie Collington, she's going to be working in the drug court system now. So the state's got a job listing for that. So that's kind of, so we're basically in learning mode where we're doing a lot of training that's provided from national resources. And but that's getting going. So that committee's formed.
Where will she be officed out of?
It depends on where they, right now, Angie was officed out of here, but out of Watertown, but.
Well, that's the question that I asked. Will she be
I don't know, it depends on who
officing here?
Yeah, just to make everybody aware that the state's,
Sure.
the UJS is in the process of hiring another JDAI consultant, so, anyway.
There could be a quorum of commissioners at the Cracker Barrel at LATI this Saturday, possibly. It's the only thing that I have that maybe there could be a quorum. Actually, we got 2 weeks to go through.
Is that, I think that is this Saturday, isn't it?
What's, the other one is what? Oh, the other Cracker Barrel?
The Cracker Barrel is this Saturday, LATI. The
Yeah.
other one isn't until the farm show. I was just looking to see if there's maybe any other things until we meet again, but that would be all that I could see, that there could be a quorum of commissioners. Yeah, before our next meeting.
Mentioned the farm show that's coming up February 6th through the 10th.
Yep.
The Expo Bill.
Yes, I don't know if they still are needing help in the kitchen. I think they were having some time slots I've signed up for a couple, but maybe there's a few if it works for you, if you want to help out in one of the kitchen areas.
I will be out at the farm show on the 2nd, February 2nd. That's when we do the state crop show, so I'll put in a day out there that day. Anything else?
You're going to be early because the show don't start till the 6th.
Yeah, we always do it the Friday before the show. We do that simply because...
Still want you to be out there by yourself.
No, yeah, once we open up those crops, it's impossible for a farmer or anyone else to walk by a sample without sticking their hand in it. And that's fine, but if they take half that handful and put it in the next sample, that's what kind of screws us up. So it's better off to do the judging in that event with no one around.
There you go.
So that's why we do it the Friday before.
You get a contaminated sample?
We get a contaminated sample, and yeah.
Unknown sources.
Yeah. Anything else for the open? Well, thank you for all the input today. Appreciate it. Have a safe week.
I'll
2
make
weeks
a
now.
motion to adjourn, I guess. We don't have an exec?
No, any reason for an executive session for anyone?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Hatton to adjourn, a second by Gable. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Doug, I got an idea though. If we would dredge Lake Kentucky